Going.
It says webinars now streaming live on YouTube.
Yes, I'm gonna check it to make sure that we are. So it says we are. That we are live on YouTube. All right, and we are. Cool. So I'm gonna swap over to Zoom. Oh my gosh. Cool. There we go. Welcome everybody to the impromptu full moon oracle session. I want to first introduce everyone to my wonderful friend Merissa. Merissa, please take a moment to just introduce yourself and to let us know who you are, why you're here, and so on and so forth.
Well, thank you, Cory. Well, aloha, everybody. First off, happy full moon in Virgo. Happy 2021. Here we are. My name is Merissaindigo, and I'm a mother and an entrepreneur and a way shower. And I have a lot of different streams of how I express myself. And so I'm also an oracle. And that's one of the things that we're going to have fun with tonight is Cory is also an oracle. And really the intention for me in this space is to show up in my authenticity and really enjoy sharing my visions, my abilities, impressions as they arise, and also to showcase that we all have abilities. And it's time to enjoy them and have fun and just see what happens and, you know, not be shy anymore. So just to play and have fun. So that's how I feel. Yeah.
It's really important for us to come out of the magical closet, right? Because at the end of the day, you know, and this has been such a common theme and topic lately for me has been the soul essence and showing that in its pure divine light and allowing other people to do the same. And what I really appreciate about this is the vulnerability that comes forward for both parties that have never done anything like this. And are like, all right, let's just show up and do it, right? Because this is a natural progression of our experience with the walk with the divine, right? Our natural organic expression of us having these moments of not sure, right? And so we just come up and we show up in our state and we start to share our gifts with the world, because right now more than ever, I notice the intrinsic value, right, of the necessity for this, why we need people to show up in their light, and to basically carve another pathway, as we found that the pathways that we've been traversing for so many years have been ending in the same results over and over again. Let's just put it that way, for the sake of coding here, for this sacred space. And so I'm really excited to get this started. We're under this beautiful, beautiful full moon. And the topic for this full moon, just to get into this, so we can kind of get into the energetic flow, kind of get into the currents here of this beautiful vortex in the sacred space that we're embodying here, is how we are basically grounding in and enjoying the physicality again. And that's been the expression in what Merissa and I have both been picking up on, is how we can finally enjoy the form again and being in the form. And right now, right before we hopped on, I got a nice little text message from I call her Mama Bear, a sister of ours, regarding Mars and Pleiades. So we've got all this coding coming on right now with the 7 sisters. And I've actually got a grid set up here with 7 stars out that was totally intuitively based. And so with this ripe, really like feminine energy, I noticed coming into this, the energies were I was dancing and I was singing and I was playing and I was in my flow, which is a beautiful state to be in. And I'm just so excited to be able to share this moment under these energies and in this beautiful vortex to just assist and see where it goes and just play with the energetics, play with our abilities, and most importantly, have fun, right? Have fun.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to go ahead and I have to trying to figure out how to get over to YouTube so I can see if anyone has questions. So guys, peeps, family, tribe, if you have any questions, we're in a Zoom room, right? So you can actually, on my community page, there is, if you want to come into the Zoom room, you can. There's a link for the Zoom room and you can come on over ask questions, and we'll just flow and dance with the energies. There might be some energy work too. I have a feeling that I'll start bursting out in light language, and we'll work on clearing things and so on and so forth. But please be patient with us and come in and share your beautiful light, share your beautiful energy with us. And let's do some beautiful magical weaving tonight. How about it?
And I just invite people to just bring things into the discussion, run it through, see that it feels aligned, and energies to play in and just to put into this dream weave together. It's like it's a living mandala workshop that we're doing together. So
yeah,
I also want to share, because I am feeling the Mars Pleiadian energies as well, and those are coming in some really fascinating ways of a merger of these two forces of energy. And so what I'm bringing to the table tonight, hopefully you guys can see, because when I do the green screen, sometimes it's hard to see. But this is a Lemurian energy. It's like an aqua blue Andara. And then I have a pink one for Divine Mother. So that's what I'm bringing, is kind of a Lemurian rooting with Divine Mother support energy, just to throw it in the pot.
Well, and it's interesting. I'm actually same. I've got my soft pink Andara energy here. And also,
I see the dragon for sure.
You see the dragon now? The pink dragon?
Yes, perfect.
So this is evidently a unicorn piece that the beautiful Julie, hi Julie, thank you Julie, gifted me. And it's supposed to be a unicorn piece, but I saw this and I was like, it is so Kuan Yin dragon. It's so pink dragon. And that's, truthfully is the beauty of the rise of the feminine, even in the masculine embodiment. It's been one of those that's an interesting dance to play with, and with this coding with Mars and Pleiades, we definitely have this merger of the masculine and the feminine coming together for creation, right? And we're witnessing this. A lot of those the way the energetics are working right now is we're beginning to, to just kind of go into this flow of what's going on collective energy wise and kind of bring this into discussion and into formation.
I have some stuff. Yeah.
It is the fact that, so right now in this collective movement, we're seeing that a lot of, as the oversouls have been disconnecting, right, from a lot of what we would call the inorganic realities, or a lot of those old earth realities, we're noticing that there is more of and I'm feeling it, more of a tribal get together, right? The soul tribe is finally starting to meet in the physical, or they're starting to connect or recognize and witness the spark within each other. And that's a lot of this masculine and feminine healing that we've been going through 2020, and the rapid acceleration of this from November until, gosh, I'd say probably January or February. We had all this Orion and Mars coding. All of this Venusian energy was occurring through 2020. And now we've got all of this Mars energy and Mars focus. And it really is beautiful for the union within, but also the fact that we can finally celebrate our form today. We can celebrate the purity of being in our form. And a part of this is, for me, has been, it's, I have to look at the story of Orion and Pleiades, right? So Orion is always kind of chasing the seven sisters, but the seven sisters have always held this beautiful formation of their divine feminine essence that's allowing the masculine to merge in its feminine beauty. And I want to send a token of appreciation and a shout out for the beautiful women in my life that have held that place of allowing me to surrender my masculinity, my distorted masculinity, and allowed the birth of the beautiful masculine. And I want to thank Merissa for that, because she's played a role in that, and so have other people in the community that we're in, kind of bearing witness to allowing me to shed all of these things and to allow this beautiful presence of the masculine to come forward. And that's really what we're seeing in these energies with Mars and Pleiades. And so I kind of wanted to go there, but bounce it off to you and go, while we're waiting for questions and things like that, what are you picking up on energetically? What's been showing up for you?
Well, the first thing I have to say is just what I'm observing in the now moment of going to this topic, because the school that I got my official Oracle training with is Seven Sisters Mystery School. It's all about the Pleiades, because the Pleiades were oracular, goddess, like this, all of this. There's so many different codes with this. So it's kind of funny that, okay, well, this is the first time that we're doing this live and doing it online in general with their overarching influence. So I have the feeling that they're getting a chuckle at this, and they're very supportive of us doing this. So I just have to share that really quick. So that's really fun. But the last few days, the Pleiades and Mars have been coming in very strong. And it's a very interesting observation for me because the first layer was like a Spartan energy that both women and men had in Sparta, you know, in these ancient days of this kind of, like you say, that tribal element, this kind of like warrior element. But I believe what's coming in to soften that energy now is that we're surrendering the battle. So we are still warriors, but there's a different, you know, it's not a hard edge. It's not a resistance or a pushing against a fighting. It's an integration. And that's what I'm seeing is coming in right now with these energies. It's a beautiful merger of the power of Mars. And speaking personally as someone who has like half their chart in Mars, I've got a lot of Mars in my chart. So being a female, you know, with a lot of Mars is an interesting experience to embrace your femininity and soften into that as well, because the Mars energy is very Martian. So it's just interesting. All the layers right now are just stacking. It's very interesting.
Well, and you know, back to that concept of the warrior, right? I always come from the standpoint of we cannot neglect any aspect of us because there's beauty in that. And for me, I see that's the power, right? That is the ineffable quality of standing in your truth and standing in your light. So that warrior presence, right? The luminous warrior presence is you don't back down, but you stand so firm in your love that you aren't swayed, right, by the energetics. And the thing is we've got so much push and pull, right? The collective is constantly shifting and merging. And if you're not strong and firm in your energy, we can find that we can start to sway. And so a lot of this is like embodying the mastery of ourselves, right? Be in your field, know who you are as your sovereign divine truth and your sovereign divine self. And then embrace that and stand firm, because what happens is when you hold that stake down, you know, with a firm, deep, loving knowing of your light and your true embodied essence, your divinity and form, what starts to happen is it creates a shift and a change in the energetics. Because, you know, especially with the bifurcation choice points, right? We see so much, are you going to go new, go old? And standing firm in the new of who you are and knowing where you're at, we're holding the gate open. We're holding the bridge open for others to embody that truth as well. And that's why I think it's really important now more than ever. We've heard this, that 2020 was kind of like feminine focused and 2021 was going to be masculine focused. And for me, I was like, well, I'm supposed to be softening my energy. How am I supposed to be getting into my power? But it really is for what the energetics call for, where you're showing up. So like in this presence, I might be a little bit more masculine, but once we turn this off, I might soften. And it's learning to dance with the aspects and the energetics of all that you are in a balanced form, so we can show up in all shades, colors of the divine human, right? And we can express that without fear of judgment or ridicule or anything of that nature. And we're going to witness this more. We're going to see more people standing in their beauty and shining bright and being their weird, beautiful selves, because those are the lighthouses we need, right?
Yeah.
So when we stand in our light, we call the tribe home. We're letting them know, hey guys, our weird lights are blinking. Come home. It's safe, right?
Welcome home.
Yeah, welcome home. Exactly. And so, and a part of this, it's really beautiful that this is occurring right now because the Maya energy has been coming through really strong, the Mayan Pleiadian energy, and a lot of them embodying that, like that earth quality as well. That really grounded earth, divine, once again, the divine mother quality. And it really is now too, what came through last night was that, and this is about the Gaian light ship, right? That we are now co-creating. Yeah, is that we are co-creating these galactic civilizations in coordination with Gaia now. So now the power has been, and it's been that way, but I feel like I finally resonated at a frequency to finally unlock and fully understand it and get it. That now the power is back, not with the human, but with the Gaia, and it's now a co-creative effort. And so this is a part of that micro macro, right? We're all co-creating, trying to build things together. And a part of that is because as you holding a lot of that Gaian energy, you know, here we are now playing in the micro role of what we're beginning to do to co-create with Gaia in a sustainable society that is going to uplift and inspire humanity, but it's also going to create opportunity for us to continue to expand. And we're no longer going to shut down or collapse. We're actually holding the doors open for a bigger, breathable space for our energies to be in our beautiful light. And so something I just wanted to bring up that I've been witnessing in the energetics and how that's kind of playing into this topic and this whole Mars Pleiades thing as well.
Well, and I have a comment to make on the visual of this energetic.
Mhm.
So this integration of a harmonization of receptivity, which is divine feminine, and action taking, more external energy. Now look at the differences between those energetics as we integrate more of the divine feminine. What is that? That's reception, that's conception, and it's receiving. So if you notice, there's a difference in the energy of making a request and then sitting with yourself as the bowl, as the chalice, and allowing it. So this is the co-creation with the universe, because the prior dynamic, the energetic was encroaching, domination, inserting ourselves, like, really more of a dominating kind of like takeover instead of this, right? So this is what's going on in our new form of creation. And you see, just like you're saying, how much more of a harmony that will be and an organic flow, because that is the fabric, right? We're not like really trying to violently control the fabric and all. I mean, it's like a total, just like you say, it's co-creation, with the universe. And that's the balance of the divine principles, and cosmic law, is that we're flowing with it because there's a trust, there's a solidarity, it's the unification. We're no longer reaching, because that was separation, if that makes sense. So it's a completely different flow of energy, it merges and flows together and weaves together. And that's quantum, versus when we're in separation, trying to create or trying to make it happen. If you notice, there is no push anymore. That's the new frequency, is that you don't need to push because it's all divine timing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And it's also about activating, right? That frequency within, and then allowing it to just show up, right? And so a lot of this, instead of the action and the doing, it's recognizing it's held within. And we just need to embody that, hold it, sustain it, know it, and then allow the reality to shift in accordance to this new epigenetic blueprint that we hold, right? And in the morphogenic field. So a lot of that birthing of the creation is setting the intention, light grounding, and then once again, just letting life take its course. It's the word that was coming through is allowing, right? Allowing. And that's been such a key thing in playing, especially since I have a lot of fire energy like you. I don't have a lot of Mars energy, but a lot of fire energy. Is that it's been very much so action, doing, go, 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 And so how can I just pump the brakes and slow down and be really mindful and present here, right?
Well, and also the thing is to redefine what is action, because the action principle, we're actually overreaching and thinking it takes a lot more energy and a lot more of this than it actually does. The action principle is the seed of the desire, and then we release it. It's the seed pearl, release it. And then, so that's that merger, that's divine masculine and feminine. Both of them are a lot softer than we ever thought,
Right? Well, and it's funny because I feel like we're also starting to witness the power of the feminine and the vulnerability of the masculine, right? That's something that you and I have been talking about, right? Which is like, we're seeing this feminine power, and there's been this universal 2x4 smacking over my head, witnessing actually the true power of the feminine and the true vulnerability of the masculine, right? And so that's a lot of that upside down principality that we've been living in, and we're going to start to witness that more, the fragility. But it's not a bad thing, right? That vulnerability is what opens us up to a new expression, but also opens us up to receive a new light or a new way of being. And so, truthfully, a part of this balance in how the structures have shifted is we're seeing this feminine power rise up. And there's a really deep honor with that, because, truly, especially, I guess, in my reality, is witnessing the strength of these mothers like yourself and other people that I know that are way showers, that are light workers, that are busting their butts to be amazing mothers to their kids. And like, it's seriously, when you guys talk to me about it, I think of one friend in general. I try to give advice, and I have nothing to say other than I see you and I see what you're doing, and I honor you and thank you for that. And it really is helping to assist and facilitate this mother healing that's going on for the masculine. And it really is an appreciation to watch micro and macro, and to see because once again, these shifts are occurring here. How is this going to affect the grand stage within just a very short amount of time? In just another quantum now moment, how are we going to see that shift in the energetics in companies, in the way that we are treating one another, and really feeling that power of the Divine Mother, which is first came in last year with Kali Ma, right? Coming in and just stripping everything down. But now there's this soft essence of this beauty, right? That's coming in and supporting and holding us. And that support, I think, is the most powerful action step, is allowing the energetics, allowing Gaia, allowing whatever, archetype you want to place it on, to hold you and to embrace you and to know that you're loved and you're cared for and you're supported, and that no matter what, everything's going to be all right, right? You just stay in your peace, you stay in your love, and everything's going to be all right. And a part of that has been, it's been so cathartic, at a healing level. And yet it's just like that, the Carlos Constaneda article you sent me. It's like, the uncomfortability of just sitting and being in that embrace, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's been extremely uncomfortable to just sit there and to be held by the divine and to trust that without any action that I'll be taken care of and supported. And it really has been a walk to remember.
Yeah.
And it's been this beautiful embrace that has lifted and inspired. But I followed the action, right? The highest aligned action came forward and I followed that. And I noticed that there's this breathing in the energy right now. There's this open space in this creation, and this beautiful void, right? That is being created to just continually to fill up the cup of the waters of the divine.
Well, and the thing that you'll notice in all of us, for everyone on the call and everyone on the replay here, is that on the subject of ego death, I sent Cory an article summarizing one of Carlos Castaneda's experiences. And he was a Nagual shaman of the Toltec tradition of ancient Mexico. And he's talking about ego death and like sitting with himself. And the thing is, when you sit at the feet of the divine, everything that is not true is shown to you. And yet the divine sits there just waiting, no judgment, just waiting patiently while we decide that we're worthy of being there. When it is unwavering love that is like really overpowering in its purity, and it dredges up, and then we have that ego death experience of being uncomfortable witnessing all of this. And yet past that right there, is the divine, just like, yeah, I'm ready when you are. It's amazing. So just to feel into that Sandra Walter calls the divine mother energy the background energy. And that's a really nice way to phrase it, because it is, prima materia. It's the dark matter, dark mater, right? It's all of the formless realms waiting to be created with the action principle, the male energy coming in and putting it into form. So it's all around, and it's just like a blanket, you want to put that blanket on in your process.
And, there's a sense of safety when you surrender all this stuff over to the altar of the divine, because that's been a big thing, is like, here is the golden altar. I was about to say archer, but golden altar.
Arches are good. Golden arches is great,
But it's like, here it is, surrender it, and that's been the biggest thing, is that altar has never left, right? That space.
Had. Yeah.
No, never. It's always been there, and it is so patient, right? It is so patient that it's just like, when you're ready, and sometimes it's in one big gulp, right? Sometimes it's like, here's everything, and the complete cellular breakdown, the complete energetic body breakdown in bed, stiff muscles, as some of us have been experiencing. And sometimes it's just microdosing, slowly just releasing. And the beautiful thing, there's no judgment, right? Because beyond all that, they see your beauty and they see your light. This frequency knows who you are at a fundamental level before you do, right? And it's just waiting. And it's kind of like, oh, the folly of human, right? The foolishness of the human potential, that we don't know truly who we are yet. But yet, the grace of this presence is like, hey, don't worry. You might not see it, but we do. But we understand the veils that you've been living under. And we trust that as they fall more and more, right? And we have these domino collapses that are occurring, these moments of just the veils thinning even more and more of the self-discovery of who we truly are, as beyond this, the eternal presence, right?
That's why we're here tonight, because we a piece of us always knows who we are and
Mhm.
run from it. And we're like, no, it's 2021. No more running. We're showing up. We're showing up.
Exactly. We're showing up and we're here with open hearts. So please, guys, if you have questions,
Do it. Let's go.
pop into Zoom. We're just kind of doing our light architecture and weaving to kind of create a little bit of structure. But come on in, please. We don't bite. And we're just.
The idea is put questions in, and then you've got two perspectives here. So we're offering a balanced perspective from an oracular state of beingness where we're conduits of consciousness, with the idea being that we're mirroring your consciousness and your abilities as well. So the questions is what makes it fun.
Yeah, of course. You know, the word that just came through while we're waiting for questions is the beauty of the divine within all of us, right? Being able to take a step back and being able to witness that beauty, but also allow the reflection to show us the true beauty of our divine inheritance, our divine nature. And I want to know what you feel about that in the energetics, about this divine beauty within all of us, and how we're starting to witness it more as we are stepping away from the old world.
Could you narrow it down a little more? Because it's huge.
Yeah. So as we begin to separate from these systems, right? So think about just shutting off the TV, right? Turning off social media, stop the scrolling, stop the who's right, who's wrong, good versus bad, the dualistic constructs that we're walking away from, right? How have you in the energetics been able to witness the further that we separate ourselves from those models, those old structures, begin to witness divine representation in the reality, whether it's through elemental context, through Gaia, walking with nature, in the subtleties? How have you been able to see that in your own life or even expressed collectively?
So when we start to detoxify, we all have Stockholm syndrome. You know, I did a video on this. As we detoxify the matrix cellularly in all aspects of our beingness, all of our bodies, we do have a little bit of Stockholm syndrome, but we ease off, you know. Sorry, my alarm's going off. Let me turn that off. And what starts to happen is that we have these flash glimpses, you know, we call them peak experiences, flow states before, in the organic architecture of time, in the organic sensation of the now moment, which is not being, you know, notifications and you know, all of this false matrix stuff that pulls us out. What we're doing is we're expanding time, because the now moment is whatever's in here and in here. So, you know, like I did a breath workshop today, breathing, slowing down the mind, slows down time. And then in that, you have an expanded sense of perception, because you're in the heart space and there's perceiving instead of thinking, you know, which is just so vast and there's so much to take in. Then you start to notice all of the beauty all around, all of the blessings all around, because you're not contracted, you know, your energetic has expanded. And so you start to see that there's beauty everywhere. And in the process, I think it's easiest to start with the outside, the physical, what we see, you know, like our animals and nature and things like that, you know, beautiful moments with another person, the pure presence moments with others and all of that. So the external is where the comfort zone begins, I believe. And then we start to do that more internally, because it's a process. Like my phone had to die for me to detoxify from my phone. And how addictive is it, even with the consciousness that we have, you know, to want to look and communicate or just be connected. And it's like, so what we're also remembering is that we don't need a device to be connected. We are the device, you know, so all of these things, all of these truths, you know. So on the external, it's reflected in the beauty of nature, and our interactions with other people, even our food, the cloud people, you know, just so much simple. You're just looking and you're like, oh my gosh, like everything is so magnanimously lovely and I'm so blessed. And you can kind of become overwhelmed with gratitude sometimes. Then you can start to pull that inside. Then there's another light influx, and we could have some old stuff dredge up again. So you see how it's, it's peaks and valleys sometimes. Yeah.
Well, and the thing is too is the amplification point of beginning to find at least one thing beautiful as well. Because I found that for me, I had to highlight those things. Right? I had to highlight those, and then all of a sudden, the universe began to maximize those, and I noticed that those points of singularity of that beauty began to just expand until everything was beautiful, because I was also filling up with that beauty. A part of recognizing that in the reality is we're recognizing it within at the same time. It might be a little backwards, but we're finding that, like, okay, so there in the field is a point, right? And that's reflecting something within. And when we keep that kind of that energy penduluming, we begin to amplify that energetics within, and we find it that we begin to fill up with it. And this is where we notice that we're stepping into those really expressive realities, right? The energetics that we're really into now, especially with the timelines, is that creative expression, that limitless potential, and a lot of that is because we're finally creating that space of, I feel like, beauty in this context. The beauty within is actually like a lot of that Sophia energy, right? That big wide opening where we're just like, what can we do? And the limitless possibilities that are provided through the freedom codes that we've been anchoring, right? And speaking of this full moon is very freedom oriented. And so I'm really excited to see what layers start to dissolve over the next couple of days regarding this. But this beautiful expression has also created this, once again, this creative expansion of like, so what can I do now? And how can I play with my creation? And it doesn't mean just show up here and doing things, but like, what can you do to be able to show up in that beautiful expression of play? And how can you articulate that in such a way as the soul expression that can assist others, or can be something even for your creating for yourself as well? And we did have a question come through. So do you want to take?
James, we're redefining what action is. There are different levels of action. So everything we're doing right now is we're dissolving our previous definitions and boxes, the linear constructs that really confined the meanings of things, and we're expanding them beyond, really beyond. It just keeps going, so we have to stop somewhere, right? But what we're saying is that just conceiving of an idea, a wish, a dream, a vision, that's action. And there will be action steps, of course. You'll be guided to take action, aligned action. But there's new ways now of defining action, because receptivity is also an action, but it's not, an out there reaching. It's a thank you so much, So just really expanding that. Anything else you want to say?
I would say too that, so I have to reflect on my journey, my individual journey with the walk of states of, and the thing is I went from like strictly action to wearing myself into the ground to completely be, and basically it's like the image I'm getting is the universe went pop, 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 and beating me up all around to the point where I'm acting in a state of being, right? And not acting from the sense that I'm wearing a mask, but my action is from such a deep, connected presence, right? A purified presence with all that I am and everything, right? This beautiful gift of me, that the action state gets to the point where there's no mind involved. And the soul the soul higher self universe is just driving the force. And okay, I need to go down now. Now I need to do this. It's a different way of being. And it's one of those things that you almost have to feel. Like, I could try to explain what a tuxedo feels like to you, right? But you got to go try on different tuxedos to find the right one that fits. At the end of the day, so action is non-action depending upon the state that you're in.
Yeah, and whatever you're working on, because it's also, action is also intention. I mean, everything is intentional on a certain level of consciousness. You program every inhale and exhale, and like, I'm inhaling this, I'm exhaling this, I'm bringing this, I'm whatever. Like, it's intention. It's a fluctuation of being, which shifts every moment, unless you're holding a focus, the concerted effort. But that's also action, is intention. So however that's measured, there's a whole frequency spectrum for that.
And, the visual coming up to is surfing, right? So as the wave's coming, right, what does the surfer do? He gets prepped, right? He prepares, he balances, he starts to paddle, and right at the perfect moment, he pops up. And all he has to do is balance the wave to shore. And a lot of this is, we speak in this of like when you enter the vortex of manifestation, right? I speak of this. Just get on the bus. Like, so when the bus shows up and you're en route, all you have to do is get on the bus, sit down and be. If you want to scream at the bus driver, tell him that he's driving it too slow. If you want to be a complete SHIT head, or if you want to be in your peer presence, it's all entirely up to you. But there is some action and momentum building up to learn how to ride the waves of ascension. And so, like, even recently, I've noticed that I've been waking up a lot at 1 or 2 in the morning, right? And it's like, well, here I am. I'm in a flow. I'm in a current. I'm awake. What am I going to do? Well, I can kick and scream and throw a temper tantrum, but does that do any good for me? Unless I need to release that. But it's about pure surrender, right, to the pathway, but also too is focusing what intention are you setting in your creation, right? So it's about, at the end of the day, we get so caught up in the purpose. Then what is my purpose? What is my mission? What is my path? Your purpose is to just walk as the soul, right? Go about your day. Just live in your presence and know that the universe will provide the experience for you, guaranteed, okay? But from that, we can begin to look at now.
Sorry, the kitties are in and out. Sorry.
It's okay. What are my gifts, abilities, strengths? What do I have at the table? It's that system of knowing yourself so deeply connected within that you know what you provide. And then that is the
open to discovering more.
What?
You're open to discovering more as well.
Exactly. And a lot of that too is when we begin to honor the energetic currents that are occurring. When we've got, like, I mean, today was big plasma gamma solar activity. When you surrender to that and you allow the cellular reconstruction to occur and you allow the DNA to override those lesser realities and begin to bring your crystalline DNA online, you're gonna remember more and know more about yourself. But at the end of the day, the thing is when you're living in your purpose, there is really, I find there's no such thing as action. Like, so there is, but it doesn't feel like it because it's so flow and it's so peaceful. It just is. And the thing about this too is that when we are architects of light, the materialization process first is we build it up here, right? And then comes the anchoring, and then comes the digestible steps towards building that up, right? And so then it's knowing when your go window is. You'll get your green light. You'll get your moment of inspiration. It'll be like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. And you just do it, right?
Yeah.
It happened today with the course that I did. So I did this trauma workshop and it was so organic and easy. Well, the thing was because I already built it. It was already done. All I had to do was show up as Cory and just allow the light to come through. And it worked out perfectly, just as it was supposed to.
The trust piece, which I really wanted to go here tonight. I thought of that, like, as we get this inspiration, all of our intention, everything, just like you say, we've already built it in some way. And again, this is the human mind is trying to understand what's going on in like many dimensions at the same time. And it's feel into it for me to feel into it, because otherwise the mind just kind of gets in a knot. It's too much. You don't have to worry about that. Just let the divine work with you. But like, James, I believe his name is James, had that question about, I don't know, or what do I create? Well, the thing is, just keep going forward in your process, because as you continue to expand, you're going to find passions and interests that you never had. Some of them you've had your whole life, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a no-brainer for me. But there will be more that is so exciting. So it's just trusting every step of the way. Just trusting.
And healthy curiosity, right? Invite that play, that childlike, what is this? There's a great thing, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's one of my favorite astronomers, or whatever he is, astrophysicist. He discusses about the childhood curiosity and how everything is basically a science experiment. Now, I'm not a scientist and I'm not really into science, but this description is so valuable, right? For what it is to have a childlike curiosity in your life and to honor the divine child, the inner child play dynamic, right? Walk into everything that you find mysterious and beautiful in your world that you're into and go, what is this? Imagine like you're a child the first time going, what does this feel like? Inspect it. Go through it. Open yourself up to the fact and allow the divine to show you that spark within you. Because sometimes it's as simple as like, you know, I'm using this for the sake of example because this is what's coming through. I don't watch TV anymore, but let's say you're watching a show, right? And someone says one or two lines that are totally inspiring to you, right? And then all of a sudden you have to hit pause and you're like, and your mind is just filled with this download of, I need to get this out. That is your soul saying, I'm here, let's dance, right? And the soul's now like, okay, so how do I get this out into it? And you start to then all of a sudden lose time, lose the questioning, and you just go for it. And that's the thing, is it's a feeling state, but we have to learn what that feeling is by tuning into the discernment also with our heart center. You'll feel it. There will be this rhythm and this pulse that is the dance with the divine, and you know that that's for you, right?
I feel there's a lightness to it. Like you can also use that to navigate. Like, do you feel a little heaviness in your stomach, or does it just feel light? And you notice that the only thing that may be negating what's presenting is just the mind saying, oh, I don't know if I should do that, or I don't have time, just the backstory. So it's a navigation of going between.
So going into that now, I want to ask you, what are other ways that you get your intuitive insight, whether something is a green light or a red light, or let's say for you or not for you, when it comes to using your discernment when you're engaging with the reality?
So the one that I really like to share with people when I teach is, like, let's say you've got, you're going between two choices or maybe three choices. So a really powerful thing is to imagine a door for each, and in your mind walk through the experience with each one and see how you feel. Most of them, you don't even have to open the door. You know what's on the other side. You know by how you feel, like, nope, that's not it. Or, oh gosh, yes, that's it. It's really like, it's amazing. This is an organic system of ours, this primal sixth sense, feeling in. We all have it. And it is so natural to us that we barely feel it until we put our attention on it like a muscle. It's so second nature that we completely have just forgotten that it's even there. But think about when you enter a room, you can feel the energy dynamic of the room, of the people. We all have that. You can feel. So just trusting that also. But the door one is a really good one. Another one is to just, sit and close your eyes, and you could just send a little like my teacher used to call this a little God probe. I just imagine these lovely little like energy balls that are connected to us going out into different scenarios, and you can feel into them. And that might be unique to me because I'm a projector in human design. So everyone has to figure out that would be, so that leads me to this. I did mean to bring this up tonight, as I would highly encourage you to explore human design and find out, what your circuitry is, because that too will enable you to understand how most of us, because of how the system, the system that we came in with wanted to put stars in square shapes. That doesn't work. So then we're spinning our wheels feeling like we're wrong the whole time, when really it's just that we have been, we've forgotten our natural circuitry. So exploring that will really help also, because then you're like, oh my gosh, I was going upstream my whole life trying to fit in, with pressures around, and none of them were real anyway. So now I understand, like, oh, my energy goes like into something, or my energy swirls around, or my energy goes around and envelops and understands. Like, you have to understand your circuitry flow, your architecture.
And I'm glad you brought this up, because there's this, it's that coming back to this piece as we're weaving this cosmic thread about safety, right? Feeling safe in the body. Because the thing is, too, is, especially I will state for me, I've always been someone who's very high tense. I didn't know this until recently. I thought I was pretty relaxed, but I'm talking about how much I hold in my body and how much I push the body to its max, to the point of breaking. The thing is when you get into that place of surrender and that place of allowing, where you just can, that sense of safety within the form, right? And this is what I was discussing today in the workshop, is safety in the form, the home, being at home within, where you can close your eyes and nothing can be going on, but you're at pure peace with who you are. What happens is we create this ability for the muscles to soften, the body to relax, and we allow for this ability to expand. And when we close our eyes, we now begin to tune into the subtle, right? A lot of this is when we're tuning into the subtle realms, the subtle energies, the way our energy body reacts to things. We do need a lot of space to do that. And we need to learn how to you know, clear energy properly. And if it's just as simple as getting some sage, connecting with Mother Earth, if you don't have this ability to like do this at home, go out into nature on your own and just sit there and be free from the human judgment in others' energies and just feel how you feel. You'll feel this expansiveness. And when you tune in with your eyes closed, right, and begin to just breathe and really feeling what's around you, you can actually start to then begin to focus and amplify on that feeling. And then when you go out, you can feel it more, right?
You can absorb it into you too, because so then you can start to expand your consciousness. Like once you've gotten the inner silence, and there are many ways to get that. Some people have to work out really hard to quiet the mind, you know, or do the breath work in order to meditate or do mantra. There's a lot of different ways to still the mind, whatever works for you and your dynamic. But once you've achieved that quiet and that stillness, then you can start to sense and put your attention into your fields, because our fields go out so far. But even just going maybe 3 feet out and around you, you can start to sense the energies of the environment, and you can ask, you want to meet, you know, and just invite them in and just sit and let them come in and reveal to you, you know. And that's another really cool way to receive intel from your environment. Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, a key thing now has been for me as in, you know, because for me, I'm clairaudient. So the thing is that it's very easy for me to know what's for me or not, because my universe steps in really loud. It goes, nope. Like I have those guys that go, Cory, what are you doing? And I've got those mama bears that show up and are like, you know, swatting me upside the head with a newspaper. And so that's assisted me. But as far as like, you know, sensing the subtle energy too, the biggest thing for me, like yesterday, I deep cleaned 5 hours this RV, and I noticed how my energy felt once I cleaned it out. And even today, I did a little work and I moved some things around, and I can feel that I moved the sacred geometry of my environment. And I know when I'm done with this, I got to put everything back. But it's like when we begin to clean up our hearts, clean up our fields, clean up our life, and actually physically clean up our environment, you'll begin to tell what's going on. And when your body is beginning to give you a signal and a sign, you know, your body will say too much. Like right now, my spine's giving me the Cory, been doing too much today. You need to lay back and relax. And that's my cue, because I know if I don't listen to that signal, it's going to get louder and louder and louder until I get the universal 2x4 upside the head, or the universal 12x12, which we know is not fun living in a reality that collapses like that. And so it's a part of the maintenance and balance that we're walking into and you know, it's interesting because I want to see how this comes up for the collective, right? Yeah. There's going to be so many people now that are going to have to start to learn about energy boundaries, about energy basics, because we're going to have a bunch of people that their sensitivities are going off the charts and they don't know why they are losing their SHIT or so on and so forth. Well, and it's because once again, we're tuning now to a higher vibrational frequency. And so those things, that dirt and the clutter, you're going to begin to feel more. And you'll also
organic. You know, as I say, a lot of that clutter is inorganic. It's discordant frequencies that are jamming your signal. So as they resolve naturally, this is also a very organic, effortless process. This is that natural part of the unplugging, you know, from the 3D matrix system. As it's ebbing away, you know, like you can see paint swirling in water. It's kind of, it's thinning out its effects on us. Yeah, so that will happen. I just want to throw that in there. Yeah. But we'll start to realize how sensitive we really are, because there was so much cluttering our signal, you know, jamming the frequencies. You guys have seen Spaceballs, like we've been jammed, you know. Yeah. Satellite dish has like strawberry jam all over it, you know. and as that starts to ebb away, we start to see just how sensitive we really are. And just like you're saying, you know, when we purify internally, emotionally, and in all of our fields, then you start to realize how sensitive your fields have always been and how they feel everything in the field. So even if something's out of place, if you will, you know, or something starts to bother you, like you need to take the trash out, like that will start to kind of hang on your field and bug you, you know. It's funny.
And you know, it's interesting too, because I found that there's this was interesting. I wanted to bring it forward because I know a lot of people who are going to be hearing this might experience this. which is the fact that then we go into isolation, right? And I did this. I don't contact anyone because I don't want people to feel my stuff. Well, the thing is too is that the importance of learning to work with energy, right? And to know that, like, for me, I have a wonderful group of people that I can contact, and they know it, but they're like, hey, let's ship this out really quickly, and okay, we're all good now. And to know that us that come from this level of understanding, right, of understanding energetics and what we have been walking through and walking out of, there's no judgment for the mud that you hold for trudging through, right? That was a part of that experience. And like, we're here holding the buckets of water, like, yo, we got you. We'll wash you off. Go bathe in the divine for a little bit and let go for a little while. And it's a process. It's a continually process, a process constantly of surrendering, cleansing, purifying, deconstructing over and over and over again. And that's going to be,
and maintaining the child asking, who is this? What's that? What do I feel like? So that has to be the background navigation while you're, because otherwise it's imbalanced. It's a lot of heaviness as we're purging. It's exhausting, but it's also amazing. So you've got to balance it with that divine, child in wonderment, the magical child witnessing it all.
And the biggest thing too is now that we're in this unified state, right? So it's more than just energy. It's like we now are having to tune in, what does the body need? What does the mind need? What does the heart need? What does the soul need? What does the energy need? And a lot of that is that wobbling in between those states and creating that communication link between the energy body, the soul. I don't really listen to the mind anymore, but if the mind is chattering, I go, okay, so you've got something to say. Let's just let you do your thing. And it eventually settles and we come back into the heart, or it's a bridge, it's a connection point that's rebuilding between heart-mind coherence. And so really then, especially for me, has been, what is my body telling me? What does my body need right now? And this is a lot of that, the energetics of the last layer of freedom codes that came through, and the freedom of expression of the form and being sovereign in the body, not just sovereign as soul and sovereign as energy, but being sovereign in the body now, is now tuning in, going, what does my body need? And knowing that, like for me, I have to do this. I have to go, Cory, it's okay. You've neglected yourself for quite some time. That was a part of your journey. But know that now we're building this communication link, and that now I will support you and allow the divine to support me too by providing me those resources and those people, such as yourself, that are going to give me that insight on how to better care. Especially if you're worried that you don't know enough, or how are you going to figure it out, or how are you going to afford it. I will say this. When you surrender to the abundant universe that we all live in, and back to the altar of the divine, surrender all the lack to the divine and allow that to go, and allow the universe to support you, which is just the universe within you supporting yourself. You'll be amazed at the magic that's created in being able to receive what you need in order to sustain the physical form and the light body as well. So
beautiful.
Yeah. So I know you.
I don't know if you guys are getting hit at all, but I just wanted to share that, like, the last not quite 48 hours, there's been a lot of, with the plasma influxes, like you can feel it here, in the atlas, in that divot where the cervical connects with the skull. So like me, it's like, sometimes it's so intense that I'm like, well, whatever I'm doing, I'm just going to massage that area and give it some love and stretch it. So if you guys are feeling that, just know that, there is a lot of energy there, perhaps for you, has been for me. And this is one of those, like, just an example of self-care, like feeling like, wow, I'm really feeling, the energy's here. Let me kind of like squeeze it, or whatever it is, work the energy, whatever's arising, just do it. Like me and Cory were talking last night, he's cracking up because all of a sudden, like, I have to stretch my legs. And he's like, how are you doing?
What's up in the air?
I'm like doing yoga laying down, like I have plasma jelly spine and I can't sit up or anything. I'm laying and we're having this great conversation and I'm just like, I must stretch my leg out. And, so just listen to the body and take care of yourself, because the thing is, like, also, as we're flowing, so much is flowing through, we've got to stretch like all the time right now. Oh my gosh, it's like, really, I just stretched everything. Like, how is there, a knot again? And just know it's because it's like cosmic rain and all of that, just coming through us. And so we want to be clear conduits in our musculature, the filaments of our physicality, like, yeah. So just keep moving, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. That's so key, because like it happened earlier, right before my session. My universe was like, nope, get up, you're doing stretches, you're doing, and I'm like, when it comes to doing yoga, I'm the guy that rolls his eyes and goes, really? But
Well, we're
once
doing it, so get ready. We're going to start doing it. Light body yoga, everybody. It's coming. Light body yoga. But it's stretching. You're going to love it.
it is, and you know, it really is, it's about breathing into that stretch. And like for me, I speak light into the stretch. So I focus my consciousness right on where the muscle is, and I speak light into it through the stretch. And it's no, like, it's, I do more intuitive stretching. I like that better rather than like, you know, set poses. And I'll, you know, a lot of that is like, okay, body, what weird way do you want to contort right now and do your thing? And you know, I've also found that sometimes the energies hit, especially when we're getting new embodiment levels, my hands start going crazy when the galactic stuff starts coming in, and I'm like having to do dragon's breath, and I'm like, you know, making all these, and you know, I have to, it feels so good though to like, especially the for
Let it
me
move
the
out. Yeah.
and the muscle and release, like clenching everything up as tight as I can and then just letting it go.
Yeah.
But also knowing that the best way to move out energy, guys, is by physically moving, right?
Shaking, like the skeletal shaking in Qigong is awesome. Just stand and just shake everything. And you may find you have to do that a lot, you know, like every couple hours, some days. Just depends on the influxes.
Yes, and especially if you're so if you do a lot of gatekeeping and code keeping roles where you're like, surrender to the 4x4, surrender to the mattress for a week at a time.
Here's my light ship, my mattress light ship.
Yeah, the heaven in bed, which I still have yet to make my bedroom heaven on earth, but I'm getting there, slowly but surely. But it's really truly about taking those moments to get up and to shake out the energy and to move out the energy, because that's the stagnant energy can build up over time, and it can really block your creation and block your flow. So, you know, you don't have to be an energy master to know how to work with energy. The most simple way really is to move it out. Or the biggest thing too has been with the anger and the frustration component coming through, right? Especially as all this Mars energy is coming through, all this really fiery aggression is really throwing your entire body into the emotional release. That's been a big one for me, has been, that's it. And I get the pillow and I scream bloody murder into that. And even if you have to cry, throw your whole body into it and just let it go. Let it go. But while you're doing that, intend to maintain connection, right? Because as we're going through these processes of separation and clearing at different levels, we want to make sure we don't stay separated, right? We want to come back in. So as you're going through this process, make sure you're maintaining that connection. Okay, I'm intending to stay connected. You know, I tell myself, I'm clearing human programming right now. I'm clearing human emotion. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to clear this, because we're now at a place where it's not incoming, it's outgoing, right? Everything it's being released. You know, it's not showing up again. As long as we maintain balance in our soul and reality, it won't show up again. And if it is showing up,
I have a great suggestion for how to maintain the connection while in the intensity of, let's say we're working with rage, which is a very intense emotion, very fiery emotion. And so a woman I worked with for many years, she was my mentor for many years. So she taught us, it's called the double fingered salute. And you get really mad and you like, seriously, like you think about whatever it is that's just infuriating you. You know, you can do this with really deep, like betrayal programs too, like the deep soul wound stuff and root chakra stuff. And so you get into like, you know, a horse stance and you kind of bend your knees and you have the double finger salute. And then you think about the thing and you feel the anger and you get really mad. And then you just have the double fingered salute and you just scream out of your mouth and you just punch the air with it. And in like less than 2 seconds, you're laughing your ass off because it's so hysterical what you're doing. And if anyone saw you, you're like, oh my God. But see, so she called that the eigenvector of neutrality. So you're neutralizing the charge almost immediately. And what are you replacing it with? One of the most divine frequencies we have, which is just hilarious laughter. So, you know, you've instantly transformed that energy, completely shifted it into a higher frequency using humor. So just that heyoka component, you know, just bringing in like, and Carlos Castaneda and a lot of the shamans really worked with that energy a lot because it lightens the mood. And it connects us to the child again, you know, things are funny. Like, oh my God, this is the human condition. Like, this is hilarious. Like, this is so wrong, but this is hilarious. Like, just keeping it expanded. Mm-hmm.
And that's, you know, I have a declaration that I wrote a while ago that states this, you know, the joke's on me for the foolishness of the human behavior. And it's basically, it's talking about folly, and it's talking about just, you know, I have every right to laugh at myself for the veil of forgetfulness, because the joke's on me. I signed up to come here, to walk through the density, to walk through with the veils, to dissolve the veils, to remember. And, you know, a part of this is that we add a lightning, right? And not lightning as in a lightning bolt, but we add this lightning effect to the human experience, especially when we're going through the deep things like abandonment and betrayal or severe loss, right? Is that we don't want to discount the emotion, right? We want to feel it through, but we also want to,
as deeply as you can into that.
yeah, but also recognize that a part of that witnessing is that emotion, right, is caused by an experience, and the remembrance of that emotion leaving is basically you stating that I'm no longer going to have that experience in my reality. That's the taking the power back. That's the no more. I'm not going to allow that to occur for me. And you know, I had a brother, Richie, which I haven't talked to in a while, and he walked me through a process years back when I was releasing. He goes, Cory, I want you to cry, I want you to feel it all, but don't wipe the tears, right? Let them soak into your skin and know that you never have to feel that way ever again, right? And that was the biggest thing too, was allowing those tears to come in and to soak and to feel them, and to know that that situation that I'm in right now, I have conscious power and choice to no longer land in those situations anymore that are going to keep providing that discomfort for myself, right?
Taste them.
Yeah.
It's so powerful.
And so it really is. And, you know, the foolishness component too has been so key right now, as being the joke's on me for forgetting, right? And that's a lot of being the dance with the divine. Like, even moving into this vortex that we were creating for tonight, there was a lot of this like fairy and the oracles coming around in this angelic energy, which was just so, I was laughing so hard. I was like, man, I could live here. Well, and it's because it really, it helps us to remember the joy of this experience. And that's why I love to connect with the elemental realms and connect with the elemental worlds, because they help to provide, especially the fairy quality, provides that that beautiful recognition that, you know, this temporary experience, right? It's not eternal, but our soul is. And when we allow that eternal light within to truly show itself, and we embrace that eternal light within, we begin to see everything that isn't that. But we recognize that all of this stuff in the stories and all the clutter of the mind that we tell ourselves is just the human. It's not the eternal within. And how important it is to continually embrace the soul, embrace the higher self, embrace that beautiful spark of divine light within you, because that's where your magic comes from, not from the human, but it comes from that deep presence with your heart, with your fire, with your light. So yeah. So how are you on time?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah. Questions? I don't see anything in the chat. Like, disappeared for me. Like, I see the folk, I don't see the chat, but that's fine. Let's see. Another thing I just wanted to throw into the cosmic soup bowl is just some of the themes of the moon. Beautiful insight and creativity, and we really want to balance the mind with the body and feeling the body. So there's a lot of what we talked about tonight, but just that brings in that trust piece again. When we get really inspired, maybe we haven't felt inspired for a while because the seasons were not that. We were just exiting kind of a hibernation and now entering germination, right, to bloom, and it's exciting. But it's not going anywhere. So just trust, like, okay, I'm finally feeling that creativity and I don't want it to go anywhere and I don't want to stop, but I have to listen to my body. What does my body need right now? You know, do I need to nourish? Is it time to stretch, go for a walk, go to bed, you know, take care of the family, whatever it is. So just really balancing that, balancing the self-care with the creativity, with the mind. Like, don't let it run off, you know, bring it back.
Which, and that's, you know, and the thing is too, is we can begin to encounter everything as creative. We choose to witness it as that, because it really is about our perspective, right? And so the thing is like, how can you create a ritual for yourself? You know, like a nice bath, or like that moment where you're, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you know, when your feet hit the dirt, you know, how are you intending for the day to be, right? Recognizing that you have command and power over the creation, and you have power and command over the belief systems as well, to choose to consciously shift them out. Even when you step into the neutrality, right, Kitty? When you step into the neutral point observer and you begin to witness these things coming on, you have a choice as to pick and play what is for you and what isn't for you. And a lot of that is to just allow it to go and allow the higher light to come in and to step in. But the biggest thing is how can we also recognize that actually everything is creation, right? Truly, this moment, from when I wake up in the morning, from when I'm kicking and screaming and freaking out over the energies that are going on, I'm in my rage, all of that is creation. And so then how can I embrace that this is all creation and begin to see it and witness that and slow down for a little bit and be with creation? Because I feel like when we can be with creation, we also allow for creation to occur through us. And so
I have found that the less resistance I have to whatever it is, the faster it's over.
mm-hmm.
So an example of that would be, let's say we're having upgrades and we're exhausted, you know, or maybe there's discomfort in the body. The more that I surrender into this is where I am right now, but I don't put anything else into it, the faster it's over. So now, instead of me feeling laid up, this is more recently, it's probably not going to be the case every time, but this is just an interesting correlation that I've observed, is that the more okay I am with wherever I am, the faster it's over, because there's no resistance. The resistance is what, you know, they say, what you resist persists, right? And there's sometimes a functional medicine in that, in order to really deeply, you know, embody the teaching and dissolve whatever, that you do have to resist it for a while longer. But you'll find with certain things that it gets easier with time and experience. You're like, oh, okay, this is just what's happening. And then it's over faster. So like by midday, maybe, or maybe by 2:00, you know, my symptoms aren't as bad, where before it would be, my upgrades aren't as bad, I should say. Before it may be like, oh, as soon as the sun goes down, then it's better, you know, so the whole day I'm in bed. Also with wherever we are emotionally. So if we're going through, we're witnessing an intense emotion, the resistance of it is actually what's going to prolong the uncomfortableness of the experience. So the more we can just be okay with where we are, and that comes from a certain level of building up our courage and our confidence, and, you know, trusting ourselves and our universe with whatever is arising, that's not going to destroy us. It's just ease into it. Just, okay, yep, this is where I am. And that neutrality is very powerful.
And releasing the expectation, right? Because I think the human mind wants things to just be a certain way, to look a certain way.
You're like, it's not over, it's not over, it's not over. And then the universe is like, duh, it's not over, because you keep charging and coding the universe with it's not over. So if you just don't go anywhere beyond, this is what I'm experiencing right now, and just don't go beyond it at all, no energy in front of it at all, it's boom, you've fully dove into it and fully surrendered, and it dissolves a lot faster. And that's something I've just discovered along the journey. That's part of the alchemy.
Interesting.
No expectations, no complaining, no like asking when the hell is this going to be over, or I hate this. Just drop it, all of it. Okay, this is where I am. And then you're like, oh God, I thought that was going to be like 10 years of hell, but it was an hour or whatever, you know?
Right.
Not so bad.
No. Well, Merissa, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everyone. Thank you for the question. This was, you know, totally impromptu, and really excited to just kind of step out and to give this a shot. And we will be doing this again. And we will be posting a little bit future in advance too about this. So guys, can you Merissa, please give them your details, and I'll put it in the description box on how to find you.
James. Yes. So my website is divinednablueprint.com.
Mm-hmm.
My YouTube channel is Merissaindigo.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. My email is merissaindigo@gmail. And I guess that's the most basic I can get with everything. Is that good? Is that what you meant?
Yes. Just where to find you and things like that. So, cool. And I'll have all the links in the description box to this too. So thank you once again, Merissa and Kitty, for coming out. Thank you for showed up. And with that, have a wonderful full moon. I'm gonna go rest my spine and stay offline for a few days while I'm instructor.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because we have the 3-3 coming, everyone. So just enjoy.
Yeah,
Just be with it.
And March is gonna be a fun month. So let's have fun. I'll definitely be showing up a whole lot more with March, but also honoring the current. So thank you guys. Love you all unconditionally. And with that, we'll see
bid
you.
you adieu.
I bid you adieu. Perfect.